All right. Hello. Welcome to Otherworld Connections. I am your host, Gino. And this is Revolution Radio. Oh man, I feel like swearing on air today. / tonight. Down here in New Zealand, Central Plateau, the North Island of New Zealand, it is 3 minutes past 2 p.m. on a Friday, the 19th of September. And for you, it's probably the 18th and getting close to your bedtime. So, this is a good time if you're going to bed to contemplate how you are going to solve whatever that problem that is going on with you. How are you going to do this or that, or fix this thing, or solve that thing? It's a good time to contemplate. It's a good time to look for solutions in books and read about solutions and think, how in the heck is that going to work? And how in the heck am I going to apply that? And there's my face. Yes, starting soon title is still up. That is me. My life story, starting soon. There's my face. I shaved my beard off. Wow. Yeah. Forever the cynic. Why do I do video? I don't know, because it's what you're supposed to do. But what you're really supposed to do in 2025 is be on video most of the day. Multiple uploads on Instagram of look at me, look at me. It's true. That's what you're supposed to do. And if you're not doing that, well, you're not doing you're not doing the internet thing that you want to achieve. Unfortunately, you're not doing that well. Well, why? Because we're living. We are now forced to live the way YouTube wants us to live, and Instagram, and so on and so forth. And notice how the arguing got a lot worse since Twitter. Notice that. And it got even worse when it became X. It's true. It's true. I know someone that just about done lost his mind through Twitter use and through abuse from others through Twitter. I already went off on a tangent. There are no real directives today. I'm just trying to... I don't know how people do it. Well, people have producers, right? Well, we do have producers here on Revolution.radio. They are the management team, and they are fantastic. And while we're talking about Revolution.radio, please consider supporting our efforts in airtime, because this is a listener-supported, donation-based enterprise here. I still can't believe that people get their wallets out, and it's not because of the quality. I'm not talking about that. I could be talking about that for my show. I just mean that there are generous and kind people out there. They're hard to find, and they're here. And the management are very kind, and so it's nice to be here. And it's nice for people that donate. It's nice to have those ears around, and those minds around, and spirits around, souls around. So that's cool. And so it's all your guys' fault that I'm still here. Oh, man. But this whole video thing, well, I could just turn the camera off. It's another dimension I'm not used to. Just when I thought I'd figured out all the audio stuff, my audio world all fixed up and organized and sounding all right. And then there's video, and then I get a bit lost. I was meant to have a book uploaded for today. But anyway, the whole point of the story is I want this to be me just being myself and practicing, my communication, and just going with the flow a little bit. I do dowsing, a lot of dowsing in my spare time, asking questions with the pendulum, for guidance, for help with things, and for solutions and answers and da-da-da, and alignment. I've done nutrition charts for people that were willing to humour me while I did them for them, and I picked out food allergies and sensitivities that obviously they didn't share with me. So from that, thanks to other people just willing to play along, I know that I can do some cool stuff with it. And everyone can. You can. So I'm not special. I'm just crazy. I'm just dumb enough to actually waste my time doing that stuff. Yep. And now I want to segue into one thing I wanted to tell you about. Well, first off, if you are listening and you have questions, you want to test my mettle, or if you just want to know something, feel free to ask in the chat on Discord. If you want to join the Discord server for Revolution Radio, you go onto revolution.radio and there's a tab there. You can follow the way through there. And you can feel like a 15-year-old gamer on the Discord interface. I feel young being here. I feel like an imposter. Yeah, so what was I going to talk about? I was going to talk about Facebook. Dirty, filthy, old, up in each other's grill, Facebook. I am going to break some rules here. Not Revolution Radio rules, but Facebook rules. I will not share the screen. I was thinking about sharing the screen, mainly because I don't want things to go wrong today, too wrong. I've joined psychic and mediumship groups. I'm on one private group with 29,700 members called Free Psychic and Mediumship Shadow Support. And I am surprised how many people are putting their photo up and they want a reading. So I'm jumping in and adding my noise to the signal and doing psychic readings. Which, as far as I'm concerned, psychic is an overblown term. I think it's more human, emotional, spiritual, emotional comments for the person. Because we are all connected and we all have these hidden abilities. It's part of what Otherworld Connections is about. My hidden abilities or whatever came to fruition through working with children for 5 years. I've done teaching work and more than that for longer. But as an actual early childhood teacher in the indoctrination systems, getting in there and working with kids all day, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 2.5-year-olds. Woo! And the psychic energy in those spaces is off the chain. And it's crazy. And you go into places like that with good intentions and trying your best to do the right actions while studying what a right action is, aka I was doing the What on Earth is Happening podcast around 2015, and that's where all my heart, mind and soul was at. And I came out the back of it with a pendulum and some intuition that was strong enough to make me think, what's going on here? And in my spare time, I've explored that stuff. So now what I'm doing, I'm going on these psychic mediumship pages. And, oh, man. Okay, so this one's got free psychic and mediumship, 29.7 thousand members. Okay, so I'm joined that. And the other one, there's a few. Excuse me. And the other one I've joined is free. No, I just clicked that. What? Okay, hang on. It's actually a really good thing that I can't navigate Facebook, because Facebook is basically the Antichrist's software invasion system to destroy humanity, I think. I really do think that. Okay, so the other one is free psychic readings and spiritual connections. And I'm bringing the other world connections. Sorry, I'm in a funny mood today, guys. Free psychic readings and spiritual connections. Private group, 120,000 members. Okay. And this is probably a faux pas, but, I'm new and, when are you not new? When are you not new? And how long have we been here for? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So when you enter these spaces, there's a thing called, attitude. And do you bring, do you bring an attitude with you, and what attitude is that? I'm not really saying anything for anyone in this actual Facebook group, but I mean the space of psychic mediumship. I don't see the benefit. I just don't see the benefit. Either we're all in a paradigm where we're using that and living that, or we're not. So I feel like I'm pushing it a little bit, because I think that's part of the paradigm that we should be living in. This freedom paradigm where ideas and solutions and ways of living and ways of working together and helping one another are spiritual. And because we are psychic, magical, so on and so forth, human beings, I think that's like part and parcel. So part of me feels like I have to do that, have to engage in this dynamic. But beyond that, I don't see the point in terms of what do you do to make money, and like how do you make someone pay for you, and I just, what I mean is, I think the things that really count are just truth. They are what is, and it should be really free, or it's respected as something that you can't put a price on. Does that make sense? I'm just going to keep just being annoying and saying, hey, feel free to ask a question and jump in. I think people might be in bed, and also I'm just me, and that's just how it is. So anyway, free psychic readings and spiritual connections. Now, so one thing I've learned is, first off, a lot of people, and this is quite sad, they put a photo up of a lost loved one. I would say it's probably about 70%, 80% of all the posts. I mean, this thing is busy, guys. 120,000 members. This is cranking. This is cranking. You can come check up every hour, and you've got people you could do readings for. So I have to do hashtag unapproved reader, because I'm not anointed by the holy ones, and that's okay. And I can hashtag admin. So in a way, this is like a blog today, guys. This is like a blog, unless you want to step in and hijack the show. I'm begging you. So, yeah, I thought I'd turn those speakers off because there's a bit of an echo. Yeah, so this is really sad. There's a lot of people that, and I'm all about this now. A lot of people, just about getting into the psychic stuff, they have lost loved ones. And so, they lost their son, their daughter, their mother, their grandmother, their father, their brother, all this sort of thing. And they want a message. Or they want something. They want to hear about their lost loved one because they didn't get a chance to say goodbye. They want to know if they're not essentially burning in hell. They want to know if they're in a better place, or if they're happy, or if there was anything they wanted to say. And this is just my opinion, and it's mildly informed, and it's my own self-evidence for this, or research on this, is purely anecdotal. I don't think you can. But I think you can. I think you can. I think people can, in the sense that maybe I know you and you lost someone, and then that lost someone came to me and said something. If I was mucking around with that stuff. Does that make sense? And I just think it's just extra tragic to see these photos. It's just sad and desperate. And I'm not calling the people desperate, it's just the vibe. So someone, genuine person, human being with a photo of someone they love, they put it on this page and say, look, I lost this person, a week ago, a month ago, 10 years ago. And then the comments come in and, she's surrounded by butterflies and fairies, and she says she misses you so much. And it's like, well, so what? So what? Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? It's like, have you ever, this is what I'm saying. No one there said, oh, yeah, Karen said you're a POS, piece of shiz, for doing that thing to me when you were 15, you MF. How come there's none of that? How come there's none of that? The things that couldn't be put right on the receiving end. Well, because they've moved on, right? And especially suicide. Because in a sad and tragic way, that person actually achieved quite a really big goal. They really wanted to leave. And most people that try to kill themselves, they don't actually succeed. Now, that's really morbid and really depressing. And, kind of a taboo thing to talk about. But most people that try to kill themselves, they stay alive. So people that suicide themselves, they have gone to where they want to go. And it's just, I don't know, I'm just saying it's sad. I don't think people shouldn't post these things, but I do think that, I think it becomes a ground, like I did one, and I posted it because I know that it made no sense. And I think that's the point. I think people can listen to, we can connect to the other world. That's the whole point of otherworld connections. Not strictly psychic, but just us getting in touch with that we can't see, which when we practice things that we hear about that could be true and we have some faith, like I'm talking natural law, right? Principles of like behavior, how you should act, because that's how the operating system for us works. We have to just have a little think about it, have a little faith in it, and we've got to be interested. We've got to be caring enough to think, hey, these kind of things must be important in life, and let's try and apply them. And then anecdotally, you start to see that actually is the way to go. But with I lost my chain of thought. Just something else came up on the screen here. But yeah, with people that have passed, it's like, I don't know. I think there's a little bit of the person that's asking is kind of putting their shadow work onto somebody else, putting their problem onto somebody else. A little bit. Do you understand? Do you get what I mean? Just going to go over to the chart. Okay, yep, cool. I'll just put that there because I don't want to miss anyone. I think wanting to connect with people that you lost, people that died, is kind of easier. It's kind of easier. I've just gone mute. Oh. Yeah, I've always had a feeling that like some of my hardware is kind of playing up, and it's playing up now. I don't know if it's Discord. I don't know. I've turned echo cancellation off. So yeah. Now it sounds all weird. Oh well. Yeah, so. And now it's back. So, yeah, what am I trying to say? Like, you done a bad thing to someone in life, and how hard is that to go and apologize to them? It's really hard, if we're being honest, right? For me, it's really, really hard. Sometimes I've gone and done it, and I've realized I haven't really apologized. I was kind of like tried to explain myself, explain the reasoning for my behavior, which is not an apology, right? But in a way, when you lose someone, when someone passes on, it's easier to apologize to them because they're not here. They're far away. They're further away than they were ever or ever have been. Yet, you know, they're so close. Sorry, but look, you'd think that you would try and apologize to them yourself, right? Because if someone else is going to do it, if someone else is going to go and like be an agent for that. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not going to go and send you to go over there and apologize on my behalf to someone living. So why would you do it for someone that's passed away? It's just a thought, just about the way things are in this world. Because also, I'm well concerned. It's not really the right word, but there are a lot of people doing this. There are a lot of comments from readers. Approved and unapproved readers. I'm not saying that they're wrong or they don't know, but it's just bizarre. This whole thing's bizarre, and I'm enjoying it. I'm trying not to make comments on posts that other people have posted, but here's the other thing. A lot of them don't get comments. A lot are just ignored. But the ones that are commented on the most are to do with the dead people. Dead people. The people posting about, I lost this person, I lost that person. Those posts by far get the most comments. But think about this. Even if you were because people talk about, I'm an empath. Okay, besides, first off, look out for those people. Be careful. Because everybody should have empathy. Everybody should be empathic, right? People that call themselves an empath, well, maybe they're not quite connected to the feeling so much. They've observed it and taken a note of it down like an alien psychopath who's just landed on planet Earth. I'm just saying, okay? But here's the thing. On one side, you could just feel sorry for these people. You could just make a comment. Here we go. I've got a comment. Devil's advocate here. Going to a medium after someone passing is actually a very proven way to deal with grief. Okay, going to an actual medium. Okay, thank you, Julia. I stand corrected. I think I want you to tell me a little bit more about that. Because it is, in this way, you're going to someone and talking to them about it, which is the point I'm trying to make here. And this is about, what I'm trying to say is, I'm trying to separate what a psychic is with just someone that actually cares and people needing to talk to someone. And I think there's a blurred line. And I'm talking about all this in the context of somebody that claims to be a psychic basically being deceitful. I'm not saying there are people deceitful here, but I just see that there's this big scope for deception, just like there is really in psychotherapy. You could be a really crappy person and you could go to university and study psychotherapy. Anyone can pass the personality test to get in, I promise you. Anyone, the personality tests are designed for psychopathic people to get in. because they don't want the psychopathic people to be left out. So the framework is so psychopaths and narcissists can easily get into a humanitarian, caring, and socio-emotional type working with other people jobs. It's as simple as that. Why? That's not for my show. But it absolutely is. Because if you go and read up on what a psychopath is, you go and read up on what a narcissist is, and then you go to these places and you look at what their criteria for getting in or their processes are, they're just designed for literal reptiles to get into human things. And if you are human, then well, you're going to get in. Don't worry about that, because it's all about money anyway. It's all about paying the bill. The actual entry requirements are just so, to make it look like, oh, we actually care. And you actually have to be a caring person. No. It's not set up for that. So the point of my story is that there's a scope. So Julia's saying the devil's advocate. She's being devil's advocate, but she's right. Going to a medium after someone has died is actually a very proven way to deal with grief. Yes, especially if you get a message that is true. Like, say your wife died with the green handbag, and inside the green handbag was the poem she always carried around. And then your wife died tragically and suddenly, and you went to a medium, and the medium said, I don't know why I'm getting a green handbag. And you'd be like, oh, the green handbag, yes. Oh my God. So, yes, you know what I mean? Because then you kind of know that, like, your wife, your late wife is in a state to be able to respond to you in a reminiscent way. And that gives you some kind of closure that she's all right. And that's good. Also, you could get, oh, I'm getting butterflies, or she's surrounded by butterflies and she's tra-la-laing, skipping through a field of daisies, and you could be like, oh, thank you. And here's the thing, like, you could just be like, I got to give this person something, because they're probably paying me. Not me, but, in this hypothetical. And they just want some closure, and you just want them to feel better, and they're the kind of person that's like, I need someone that I don't know, that I think's going to be okay, that I can trust, that can just help me through this and make me feel like it's okay. So I think there's a blur in the line between a psychic and a therapist. And also there's a prescription. So, I think I've talked about this with Julia, that we would say, like, the good psychics and the good mediums, if they're not getting anything, they just say, look, I'm sorry, I'm not getting anything, have a nice day. Sorry. I'm really sorry. Or they might be getting told not to even speak to you. And so on and so forth. Like, this is just very, very fascinating. So much so that I've spoken for half an hour on this, and I can probably go for another half hour, which I will. Why? Because I dowsed this. I came here half an hour early thinking, how am I going to plan for today? And I'm just thought, no, I'm not. Well, and I got my answer through ye old pendulum, that just talk to everybody. And that's what I'm doing. And this Otherworld Connections journey, this is where it's been taking me, to actually doing psychic readings for people. So going back to dead people, I just go through the photos and go, should I give this person a message? Should I give this person a message? Should I give this person a message? And the first time I got one, yesterday was the first time I got one for someone, I assume, I can't prove, but I'm pretty sure the photo was someone that she had lost. And and here's the thing, because it's like, okay, so I'm going to tell you, she wanted to talk to a man with a red hat, or the man with the red hat. That's what I got, okay? And I'm just like, I'm not gonna post that. That's ridiculous. But I tell you that, I did post it, and the lady was like, no, that doesn't ring a bell. Like, I do it politely, like, listen, okay, obviously I put unapproved reader. I was like, if this rings any bells, let me know, and if it doesn't, my apologies, and I just wish you all the best, and, sorry for your loss, and, take it with a pinch of salt. Because the person's grieving, right? And then it's just like, oh, she needs to speak to the person with the red hat. Well, I tell you, I put that down. But if the person was a lost loved one, it doesn't mean, like, I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm just saying it doesn't mean that that's not what's going on with her right now. Because you don't know. Do you see what I mean? You don't know if she wants to speak to someone with a red hat. She could be on another planet. I don't know. Or maybe today there is someone with a red hat that comes into the life of that other lady. So this is where I get into like I become really pessimistic and think, what is the point of all this? And to repeat one of the stories I do, so I put an ad in the paper. So I get people calling me, guys. I get people calling, and most of them are basically trolls. They're basically trolls. They see the ad in the paper and they're threatened by me because they are spiritualists, or they do psychotherapy, or they do some kind of counseling, or they're just these strict atheists that have a chip on their shoulder. And that's not everyone, but everyone I've done one for has had there's some string attached to the whole thing, and they're just kind of testing me. And this lady I'm going to talk about, because I'm not respecting, like, first off, if it was super private, then I wouldn't say it. And other than that, they don't deserve me to respect their privacy if they don't respect me. And this isn't like a revenge, like doxing or anything, but I'm just going to say, well, this lady, because she was just, first off, she was expecting a woman, and because she was there, which is okay, fair enough, because I think that in a way they're not mostly. If you look at books on psychics, I wouldn't say it's split down the middle, but at least, 30% of them are men? So it's not 80, 90% women. But anyway, she was expecting, she was a lesbian, which doesn't matter, but she had to tell me. And maybe that's why she was expecting a woman. But it turned out she was a spiritualist. And she was like, oh, I'm going to give you... She didn't say thank you for a start. I spent a bit of time, and I was right. Anyway, here's the point of the story. I got a green car. Okay? I was like, green car, I don't know. I'm just going to say it. I feel awkward saying these things because... At the end of the day, if you're getting a message, it's just going to be usually just a symbol. It's not like someone talking in your head. Like, that's just insanity. But it's just this, like, it is kind of like, it's magnetic, and it's like a bit like you get an idea. And it's hard to do, because what if it is just an idea? What if it's like you're the nervous kid that has to say something in class? Just come up with an answer. 36. Well, sometimes those are actually the psychic answers. The times when you're younger and you yelled out a number in maths class because you just had to say something. Well, if only you knew about numerology then, is what I'm saying. But this was like, I'm just getting a green car, and she was like, oh, Gino, I'm going to collect a green. She was collecting a green car that day, and she didn't know whether she was to sell it or not. And then so I got yes. So yes, you should sell the green car. So that's pretty amazing. But the point is, like, what's the point of that amazingness? Just some random lady with a bit of a chip on her shoulder calling me up to see what I'm all about, and I do a nice, actual, legit, proper psychic reading. And that wasn't the only thing I did. I was getting a Rose, and her sister is called Rose, and she was going to see her sister Rose overseas. And again, I didn't know that part, but she said her sister was Rose. And I was like, well, I'm just getting something like encouraging about that, like yes kind of thing. And she was deciding whether she should go to visit her sister. And it's like, yes, everything's going to be okay. So, in a way, my reading to her was just like proving to her that I could do it, right? And my point is, like, her concerns, like, who cares whether she should sell her stupid ass car or not? I mean, seriously. I thought I'm wasting my time on this, SHIT? Are you kidding me? Oh my God, the green car. Like, that's really going to save the planet. Some lesbian spiritualists that want to go see someone of her sister, and she's got a bit of a, concern whether she should go because she misses her lesbian girlfriend for 2 weeks. And I'm like literally pulling a rabbit out of the hat. And then she's like, "Oh no, you shouldn't be saying it like that." It's like, I just psychically guessed what bullshiz was going on in your life out of my butt. But no, I've got to say it better. How was I supposed to know you're getting a green car? And guess what? I feel like saying now, like, I don't even care. Who cares? Why are you even ringing me? Anyway, the point of the story is she was arguing with me about payment. And here's this. This is where I'm really psychic. I knew this BITCH wasn't going to pay me SHIT. This is why I feel like swearing. She was going to pay me nothing. And so I was like, and she was refusing. This is what these people do. I'm telling you what all these people do. This is a real rant. They refuse to let me take the moral high ground. As in, no, listen, I don't want your money. Your money's not good to me. I'm just doing it because I want to practice this craft. And I want to experience what it's like to do readings. And I am new to it. And it's all honesty, humble pie. And it's not even really taking the moral high ground. But they don't want to let it be like that. And they're like, oh, no. You said that it was for donation money. And it's like, well, okay. And then she's like, well, I'm going to give you books that I think you should read. And what's your address? And I'm like, I don't even want to give this person, this lesbian, I don't even want to give her my address. And then it gets to a point where you've just done stuff, like you've just kind of gone personal with the person. And okay, maybe they haven't really dropped their barrier. But you kind of have, and then you kind of feel like it's kind of like a little bit like it's the family member that you kind of have to put up with, right? So it's like, and this is where it's my problem, right? I couldn't say no. Like, I'm not comfortable giving you my address. And I was just like, okay, here's my address. Well, anyway, the whole point of the story is, did she give me the books? No, she didn't even give me the books. So she didn't even say thank you. She didn't say, wow, that's nice of you for doing it for free, because she wouldn't accept that. She's like, oh, no. I'm going to be paying you because I'm a spiritualist, and that's how we do things. So sorry, kind of thing, quid pro quo kind of thing. And then she didn't even give me the books. Metal Rabbit. He's in the house. Hey, Pat, how are ya? Metal Rabbit, aka Pat Rabbit, said hello, and a belated hello. Don't know when you posted that. Oh, 8 minutes ago. 9 minutes ago. Good to hear from you. I'm just having a bit of a rant on the world of being a beginning try-hard psychic medium. But I do enjoy it. Like, these stories are pretty cool, and because of that, I'm going to keep going. And one idea I do have, I don't know if I will, because it is kind of a bit rude. Yeah, there's a way from Pat. One way I was thinking is just to make it like a blog, and I think this is going to be a little bit of a blog and a diary for that, because it is interesting. I do think I am concerned that I'm going to become more pessimistic with that through my stories. And again, there's that sad thing. It's like, I think the thing that's really sad, and it is like psychotherapy, and I've been a client in the realm of psychotherapy for many years. Not anymore, because I wouldn't say it's a waste of time, but I mean, the thing that's sad about it is that, you kind of are really just paying for, someone to lean on, for someone to offload to, that shoulder to cry on, or whatever you. There is, there's no denying that there is an aspect or an element of that, and it's quite a big element or aspect. So you're kind of paying someone to be the friend that maybe you don't have. And there are a lot of people like that. And this is the other thing, like the people that have called me for these psychic readings, well, I think they all needed help. Even like as ungrateful as they are, they needed advice. They needed some kind of. They needed advice and they needed help, and they decided to go to a complete stranger through an ad in the paper because they don't have anyone else to do that to or do that with. Perhaps a fresh set of ears, a fresh set of eyes. So going back to this Facebook group, free psychic readings and spiritual connections. So yeah, the lady with the red hat, the lady that wants to see the man with the red hat. Well, obviously, like I really did know, and that's not what makes me psychic. Like I didn't want to post it, but I'm dowsing these things as like as just the path. Like it makes sense, right? To ask in the same place where to go in terms of, doing this journey where you're, asking other or the other world or whatever, right? So I was like, should I answer this question? Should I answer that question? And yes, I got the one with the dead person one. And the recently or perhaps more lately deceased lady wanted to speak to the man in the red hat, and the lady was like, "Oh, it doesn't ring any bells," and I was polite, and I sort of thought, well, no wonder it doesn't, because what the heck. But also, I think when people have passed on, whatever they're up to, well, they're up to whatever they're up to. So maybe she was trying to speak to a man in a red hat. So it's a little bit like kind of going around in a circle now, but people do want closure. And I don't know. Well, as Julia has said, that going to a medium after someone passing is a proven way to deal with grief. It's a way to deal with grief. People want someone to talk to as well. But on this page, I think they get the most comments because, end of the day, how can you prove it? And I think that's part of my learning and why I actually put, she wants to speak to the man in the red hat. I think people are looking for a bit of a Hail Mary, like, oh, those pink shoes that she wore, she still misses them or something. So it's very like, you as the psychic medium could never have known that. And that gives the other person some trust. But so part of my question is, why are people paying for this sort of sense of trust? Because like, say with the lady who obviously didn't pay me, the lady who was thinking about getting the green car and didn't know whether to sell it, like, what was the value in that? Because for me, in the reverse, it didn't lead to a client per se. In fact, it didn't even lead to more customers. In fact, I would go so far as to say that she's probably saying bad things about me, even though I did really, really good as a psychic medium. It was literally like I psychicked all that stuff. There's no way I can know it. And I kind of resented it. Like, why do I want to help this bitch decide what she should do with the green car? And whether she should go on a 2-week holiday or not to Australia, just because she misses her girlfriend when she goes there. Like, who cares, is my point. And how much would she pay for that if I was charging? And then how much money would I want to earn doing stupid stuff like that? It's the stupidest thing I've ever, it's just mind-boggling. So then another lady, so now I'm back to the free psychic readings and spiritual connections Facebook group. Feel free to join and ask a question and check it out if you're into this sort of thing. It's pretty... For me, it's really interesting. So another lady. So the good ones. So what I'm trying to say is there are a lot of posts that are just like, oh, can I get a reading, please? And they're good, right? Because they obviously hear because they've got something they want an answer to, or they need a little bit of help. But they don't want to give you information because they don't trust you, right? Or they don't want to deal with, and then here's the other thing: a lot of the people that post with the lost loved ones, the dead loved ones. They'll say, oh, she's passed 10 weeks ago, she had, cancer, or she just died quietly in her sleep of old age, and and it's been 10 years, and this, that, and I'm just really wondering if she's okay, or I was wondering if this or that. And then that's when they get all the comments. Everyone's jumping in talking about butterflies flying around. Now, I'm not saying they're all fake. But, see here, 2 hours ago, can I get a general reading? No comments. I would like to see if anything is coming through for me, please. 4 hours ago, no comments. Can someone give me reading or advice? I'm growing as a person. No comments. I mean, I can't say it is what I think it is. Like, I can't prove that, because there are some ones of people that have passed that they haven't commented on. I mean, some of them are pretty tough. Some of them are pretty raw. Like, pretty raw. And I think some of them are so raw that maybe people are afraid to just, feel like it's disrespectful to say anything, because it's not your real place. Like, we're talking like people losing like very close family members to, turbo cancers and stuff like that, very recently. There's a lot of that. Oh man. Like, I wouldn't want to put, you just think like the proper psychic thing to do would just be like, I'm so sorry for your loss. Like, can you not, can you not just, no, it's not can you not, but you get what I mean. Like, it's just, I'm sorry, what can I do? I don't know you. I'm just sorry. And I hope you find a way through this dark time of loss. What else is there, I just hope they have someone to at least, hold on to. Ever the bleeding heart over here. Okay, so another lady, she wanted a reading, and I gave her one. And it was a polar bear. It's true. So here's the other thing, it's like polar bear. So what am I going to do? Just say polar bear? So what I do when I get an animal, which I often do, is I've got my handy, I'm just going to do it right now, Animal Spirit Guides book. Probably the most used book I've ever owned, which is digital. Illegally downloaded. Oh, man. That was because the DIC, I can say the dickhead at the crystal shop, which was in his basement of his house, wouldn't sell me this book. He was such a dick. I don't know, do you guys go to crystal shops? Do you have this? It's like, comic book nerd from The Simpsons. Take him and multiply it by, I don't know, multiply it by 5, and that's kind of what you're dealing with. He wouldn't sell me that book unless I bought the crystal book, because he was convinced I had no right to be in the shop, and I didn't know what I was talking about because I was going in with my pendulum. Have you ever seen someone try to intercept a pendulum reading? I wish I had my camera on. It truly happened. And he was trying to make out what he was doing to intercept was like more spiritually in tune or professional than me actually using the pendulum. I am on camera though. He was kind of like waving like as if you were pretending to be like, I don't know, some pantomime, and he's like, stop. That was worse than even me going in public with a pendulum. Hey, let's just go to so anyway, that's why I didn't buy the book, because it was the only place I've ever seen it, and then he wouldn't sell it to me. So I was like, I'm downloading it illegally. So Pat Rabbit says, it's essentially predicated on them opening up to you. And if they think they trust you, whether they really do or not, the more they'll be forthcoming. Otherwise, you're stuck with those awful replies on your part. Yes. Because also you can give them the stuff that you can present to them the stuff that they've kept closed, and then they can choose to say, well, that was it, or not. Because um, I guess you wouldn't want to admit that, hey, I'm just here to test you. Like, thank you, you passed the imaginary test. Bye for now. It's kind of, I guess they kind of look silly if they said that. Um, yeah, so it's kind of part of what makes it a little bit sad, right? That I think it's hard. It's hard for people to open up. Just like I was saying at the beginning. Well, like I was saying, like, as we know that it's hard to apologize to people because that part of that is opening up to a part of you, like a regretful or remorseful part of you, and saying it to someone that you know is it's pretty hard. Like a friend, like maybe not someone that you live with. No, I think Julia's going to start commenting. Oh, so polar bear. That's where I was. So this lady was like, obviously, asked quite a closed question. Can I just have a? Well, no, it was an open question, but she didn't open up about any of your stuff, which I think is good. I think you have to, if you're going to a psychic or getting a psychic medium, you do have to test them a little bit. I think that's where we're going with this. So I got polar bear, and here's the other thing is, yeah, so the messages are symbolic, right? And cryptic. Yeah, let's see if I can bring it up on the screen. There we go. Polar bear is there. See if I can make him fit a bit better. And this is my favorite book. My most useful book, which is, let's go to the screen, the cover page, Animal Spirit Guides by Stephen Farmer, Dr. Stephen D. Farmer. I believe it's a Hay House publication. Hay House obviously gets a lot of flack. I suppose a lot of publishing houses get a lot of flack, but this book is really good if you just want to learn about animal symbolism. It's written as kind of direct advice, but from the advice comes from symbolism, symbolic study. Translating the life and the way and the characteristics and the way of living of an animal into symbolism and transposed as advice for you, as if the symbol represents all of that to advise you at the time if something pops up. So in this sense, or in this example, it was a polar bear. And so if the polar bear shows up, this is just reading, be assertive and strong in both your communications and your actions, yet be willing to yield as necessary. Treat yourself with respect and maintain your dignity at all times. Before you take action, pause and observe the situation. We know polar bears do that a lot, right? And then when you're ready to make your move, commit to it fully and without hesitation. So, yeah, we know, if you've seen them in the zoo and stuff, oh, look, we got the ad break music coming in. So, thanks for tuning in thus far. Stick around and we'll see you on the other side of the ad break. Welcome back to Other World Connections. I'm your host, Gino. You're listening to Revolution Radio, the number one listener-supported radio station in the whole world. So please help support our efforts and airtime by visiting the station's donations section on revolution.radio. Yeah, go and check out the homepage, and there's lots of ways that you can donate. Let's just quickly have a look there now. Maybe not. Let's go to the homepage. Yes, so you can become a patron on, I believe it's Patreon. You can do that. You can donate through DonorBox, which is an international alternative to PayPal. You can make a direct payment to North American residents only. You can donate through crypto, being Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Bitcoin Cash, and checks on money orders payable to Revolution Radio in US denominations. You can mail to Terry Ackerman, 1793 North Eden Road, Allen, Michigan. Okay, you know I'm not from America, so my apologies there. 49227. The monthly goal of $3,000, we have raised $1,588.25. That really is amazing to me. Thank you. And then you can join the new Discord server. So right now it's on video. Well, me anyway. If you're not watching, you're not missing out visually on very much. But there's my face and the books that I might be reading, and a little interface there. But that's about it. So I stream that onto Discord and onto YouTube, and I will post that just because I can. Live now on YouTube and Rev Radio Studio A. There we go. Yeah. So I'm just doing that. That's just what I'm doing. Okay. So yeah, back to my blog. My blog of Gino getting into doing psychic readings for people. So one of the ladies on this group, Free Psychic Readings and Spiritual Connections, a private group on Facebook with 120,000 members, wanted a reading, and I got, in my mind, the polar bear. I just want to read now a little bit about the polar bear. And this is the time to nourish and replenish your body, mind, and spirit. So prepare the means to do so. And here's the big one that sticks out, because we know that polar bears do a lot of traveling. You are about to embark on a spiritual adventure, one that will awaken some of your innate gifts and qualities that have been dormant until now. So how did I know this was the message for her? Well, I'm sitting here with my pendulum looking at the book, so I don't know how I can translate that into a reading that people are going to sort of go, oh, that's really good. At the same time, I do think that dropping all your tools and resources does open you up to a desire to just add in some blah, blah, blah to maintain a professional look. Does that make sense? And that's where I think there's that bridge between psychotherapist or psychologist and, psychic, where, the person, there is an aspect of obviously communication, and the person wants some empathetic type of exchange. Otherwise, they could just, work on it for themselves, or read a book, or, I don't know, watch a YouTube video, really. So that's why this Facebook thing is a good place for me to start. I can just, gather up my tools and have a look at what's happening and what's what. And so, yeah, for her it was, you're about to embark on a spiritual adventure, one that will awaken some of your innate gifts and qualities that have been dormant until now. Obviously paraphrased. Well, she fell out of her chair. She could not believe it. She didn't want to tell me exactly, but she was like, do you do readings? Because that was completely on point. And she'd like to hear more from me. Yeah, well, I mean, so I gave her a little bit more. Excuse me. A little bit more of a reading. Which, I mean, you can't really outdo yourself on that when you're talking about polar bears, and explain exactly what she was going through. So she was obviously about to go and maybe go traveling or go and do literally an adventure or whatever it was kind of risky, or in her mind it was kind of dangerous. So she was probably off to do, I don't know, like hot air balloon or skydiving or hiking and some dangerous. That's my guess. And that was the vibe that I was getting. So for her, it was just some encouragement that yes, she should do it, and she's a teacher, and I knew that. I knew that from her her Facebook page. So it wasn't like I didn't stalk her for information, but when you have your name on Facebook and you can put who you are with it, yeah, she was like, I don't know, Jane the teacher kind of thing. And so it was quite cool because I've done teaching before, and that's probably where I lost her, but it was just about how, that the thing you're going to do is risky or there's danger involved, but, just be yourself and use your common sense, and just use your common sense, and for the rest of it, just go for it. Drop all your worries away. Like, now's the time for risk taking for you. So it could have been something that was like controlled risky, like, kind of threaten, dangerous things that people do for R&R, for recreation, for holidays, like, going on a speedboat, or swimming with sharks, or all this crazy stuff that people do. Adventure tourism. My guess, she was going to do something to do with adventure tourism, and it meant a lot for her, and she was scared about doing it. And for her, it was just about just throwing caution to the wind and just going a bit crazy, because she's obviously a very reserved, sensible, and possibly sensitive person. So anyway, she was happy. So that's just another part of the blog that was really cool. So probably what I'll need to do is, the next step is, when I do a reading on this thing, I should put #admin, so then the admins look, and then they get to judge you whether you're like one of the chosen people or not. Whatever the point of that might be is, I don't know, but I think if I become an approved reader, then obviously I look cool, and then people might say, hey, I want an actual reading. But here's the next thing. So she did want an actual reading, but then I'm not supposed to solicit. Also, I'm not going to charge people for this, I just don't, at least at this point. But I start to see the demand, because then I got a private message. Dun dun dun, plot twist. I got a private message. I've got to bring it up. Because again, she didn't follow up on her promise either. And I spent some time doing stuff for her. And it was, again, I don't know why I should do this other than for practice and experience. Her question: Will the new talent agent call me today or tomorrow? And do you see a time with it? And my first thought is, who cares? Because that's another thing. This is like predicting the future. And so this obviously could go one of two ways. I could give her information that turns out to be true, and that's helpful. or I could give her information that turns out to be not true, and she follows it, and it's, condemning for her. And maybe there's an in-between there. Maybe I could be wrong and it doesn't change anything because it's just life. Like, will I go to the toilet tomorrow? I don't know. Maybe you will. So what? The point of the story is maybe I was wrong and she's going to get in trouble. Like she's going to have some issue with it. Well, either way, whatever she gets from me, she's going to deserve it, right? If she deserves to know when the talent agent is going to call her, then she deserves to know. And then if I was right, then I was right, and then she knew, and then she knows, and then it happened. But the worst part about this is she's expecting the call. She knows that the talent agent is going to call her. So who cares? You don't get a psychic to just help you plan your diary a bit better, do you? So anyway, I got her to promise that she would tell me either way what happened because I took the time with her. Well, did she tell me? No, she didn't. So I'll never know. I'm not going to follow up on that. And you know what? She was like, oh, but do you see a number? So my answer to her was, yes, the agent is going to call tomorrow afternoon. And then she was like, well, but can't you give me a time? It's like, what, are you too busy? Are you so busy that you're waiting now for your talent agent to call, but you're too busy tomorrow for your talent agent to ring and you to answer the phone? What's he going to call you on? You can use a carrion pigeon and send a blooming envelope to you? It's just going to be on your phone that's in your hand right now as you're pressing messaging to me. But, I see there's a potential. I don't see that there's an income in this. I don't know. Part of that is me thinking it's not a kind of pursuit that's worthy of payment, in the sense that, if people are just going to ask, what am I, what's my mum going to make me for a sandwich tomorrow? Like, who cares? Alright, and in the chat, oh say can you see? Hello, oh say can you see? Is saying Novus Ordo Secularum. And whenever I read that, I immediately think of the Catholic Church, believe it or not. But it's the, let's type that in. New Order of the Ages. The Great Seal, it's one of the Latin mottos on the reverse side of the Great Seal of the United States. Beyond that, I don't know, but that's the seal that's on the dollar bill, right? And yes, part of why, I think I do struggle to see that money to be made out of that sort of thing is kind of like it's two totally opposite realms, right? Monetary, material, physical, with the spiritual. And a fusing of the two is more in a, exchange, human exchange, rather than a financial exchange, perhaps. And I think some of my issue there is to do with my issue with money as what it is. And I think part of what I'm saying is with the psychic stuff is I think some of it is salesmanship. I think there are genuine people doing it, and they're genuine, like say nothing's coming to them. They're like, sorry, I can't take your money and sorry for wasting your time. I'm just not getting anything today. But I think some people will be like, well, that'll be $300 and I see butterflies flying around you in the future and that means that, you're going to win lotto next year. Okay, don't see me for another year. That kind of thing. And Pat Rabbit says, and some, in quotes, take that to mean the New World Order. Yes. But in that is something that's far newer than what was printed way back when, in those hoary days. Yeah, I'm probably the worst person to join in a conversation on this, but I believe you are correct, that the perception of what the New World Order is relating to the Novus Ordo Secularum is way off. I would agree. And my Catholic indoctrination makes me think of the Novus Order is the new order of the Mass that a few Catholics, especially my mum, stood against and stuck with the Latin Mass, which is more closer to, I guess, orthodoxy, dare I say. Apologies to any Orthodox Christians out there. But, in the scheme of things, it is closer. I'm not saying it's close. It's just closer to that. So, and you know what? I do believe that a lot of those Catholics have similar things to say and similar views on the Novus Ordo Secularum and the quote-unquote New World Order, and a blend / like a spectrum of, beliefs from that spectrum of term. Novus Order, New World Order. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you listening to the show and putting up with me and letting me, giving me questions that I can shout out and join in with, and that sort of thing. So that's really cool. So one thing I did want to move into. So yeah, well, just to finish that up. So, you're talking to someone and it's meant to be a psychic reading. So yeah, doing it on Facebook's a bit easier because it's not real time. But what do you do? Because it's like, I'm getting a polar bear. So it's like, I want to get the book and have a look, but it doesn't look cool. So I think if you're getting like images and symbols, you probably, like, when are you professional? When are you an expert? Because everything's a symbol and everything has like an esoteric meaning. So really, you'd be an expert when you knew every single one off the top of your head in a way. You get a symbol, you're like, oh, that means that, and then that applies to you, and da-da-da-da-da. And it means all these things. I mean, a little bit, do you know what I'm saying? One lady rang up, and I was getting chickens. And I still think to this day that it was for her that she should be a chicken lady. And by chicken lady, I mean someone that lives rurally and raises chickens. And this is part of my journey where now that I've had this exchange with this lady. So if ever I get chickens in my mind, then these associations may probably be able to work for other people. This lady was looking for a change. She didn't want to tell me, so I feel a bit like I'm in the deep blue sea, trying to find a life raft, something to hold on to. And I got chickens. And I also got the town that I live in, Taumarunui. I got that. And that's another tricky one. I'm on the phone talking to someone and I'm in Taumarunui. And in my head it's like, Taumarunui. It's like, what am I going to say? Oh, Taumarunui. What does it mean? I should leave? She should come here? She should do this? What do you do? But I told her, I was like, listen, I'm getting Taumarunui. She's like, oh, do you think I should move there? And I'm like, well, there you go. You're thinking of moving somewhere. So yes, you should. But she was skeptical. But it's not. I don't see what's disingenuous about that. Because she responded positively to Taumarunui. I thought she was going to say, what the heck are you talking about? And I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about. There's someone else talking about this. I don't know. But her reading became Taumarunui and chickens. So chickens, funnily enough, I told her, like, we're going to look at this online. And while I'm talking to her, I'm reading about chickens, and chickens are a homesteady kind of homesteading kind of symbol. They symbolize. So you got your family, right? You got your, I guess you got your wife, your 2 kids, your home. You got your cat, your dog, and then extending out further, you got your chickens. And the chickens feed you and feed people, and they make the home more of like a homestead. And eggs, obviously, well, and the eggs, you're going to have a lot of eggs, and eggs are a kind of thing that bring people together. Giving the neighbours some eggs, maybe selling some eggs. Selling some eggs is very archetypal, right? Go down to the market with your couple of trays of eggs from your chickens, and you meet some of the people in the community and have a chat, and you might trade some eggs for some milk or some bread or what have you. So it's a very community, like family blending into community, integrating into community kind of symbol. And so that's what I learned about chickens when I got chickens coming to my head for this lady. And then so it turned out at the very end of the show, at the end of the conversation, that she was looking for a change and she wasn't sure what she wanted to do. And so her advice was to move to Taumarunui and raise some chickens. And she maybe didn't have to raise chickens, but for her moving to Taumarunui, it would have been a good thing, because she sounded, I wouldn't say elderly, but she was probably, I'm guessing, in her 60s, which is kind of elderly, but I don't really see it like that, especially now that I'm, mid-40s. In my early 40s. I don't see anything as old anymore. But, she, going to a small town that has an aging population, there's lots to do here. You can get a dog, and there's a little dog walking group. There's country music club. There's the RSA. There's the Cosmopolitan Club. Pretty sure there are bingo nights there. There's what was the other thing? There's a golf club. There's also the group of people that go and walk their dogs, their little lap dogs, and they go on a group walk. There's obviously quite a few churches here. There's a few op shops and charity shops that a lot of the retired and elderly people like to work at, and it's like a networking community. There's things you can do. And it's kind of small enough that you can just sort of slip on in and just do your thing. And because it's a lot of oldies here, well, birds of a feather, no pun intended. So that was her little thing. And I learned that sort of chicken is a little bit about that. So if I do get chicken again, but that's just one bird, right? One animal. So I don't know what it's really going to look like if, say, people talk to you and you get an animal symbol. It could mean literally. I think that for that lady it probably is literally, because she wants something to do too. And in New Zealand you can actually, it's really weird, the rules and the laws here, but in New Zealand you can raise a lot of chickens and you can sell a lot of eggs. I mean a lot. I'm pretty sure you can have 200 chickens. That's like you got a small battery factory going on in your own back garden. You're allowed to do that. Obviously, maybe not in like the cities, but yeah, once you go like into the provinces, yeah, you're allowed like 199 chickens, and that's a lot of eggs. That's more eggs than you could probably handle. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the point of the story is, with all the, health department stuff out there, well, no one's stopping you. You're allowed to do it. And you can sell those eggs tax-free. And that's what some enterprising lady does here in the small town of Taumarunui. She goes on Facebook and says, "Oh, I'm coming to town on Wednesday or Friday. Put your orders in now." And she rocks up in her little car with a boot full of trays of eggs, and everyone lines up buying trays of eggs, and they're much cheaper than the supermarket, and they're obviously much fresher. And I wouldn't say she makes a killing, but I suppose she does pretty well. I mean, she's got a whole boot full of trays of eggs. They're about $20 a tray. So that's her job. And she doesn't have any issues with like the health department coming in to look how things are going, and is she doing this, is she doing that, is she cleaning this, is she cleaning that. Who knows what it's like. Could be a chicken nightmare where she lives. Metal Rabbit is saying in Key West, Florida. Oh, Metal Rabbit, is that where you are? If I may be so forward. In Key West, Florida, chickens roam the streets like cattle in India. And they are not to be molested. Just like in India. Well, I don't know what they do with chickens in India, but at least in Key West, Florida, chickens are not to be molested and they roam the streets. That's crazy. I've started to see the odd roaming chicken around here myself, Mr. Metal Rabbit. We have roaming goats. That's what we have. You got to be a little bit careful. That's why people have bull bars here, because they speed up when they see the goat, because, well, that's your dinner or your dog's dinner, depending on what you're into. But when I ate meat, I would eat goat. I wasn't averse to goat. Goat curry was actually really, really nice. Oh, Cajun, Louisiana, South Louisiana, on the bayou. Wow, I am going to Wikipedia that after my show today. I like to know where people are from, and America is such a big place. And with so much culture for such a quote-unquote young country or continent. New Orleans. My parents went to New Orleans on their honeymoon traveling trip. New Orleans is amazing. And Julia's typing in the chat, hashtag Gino the vegan, LOL. Yeah, vegan, that's a really dirty word, isn't it? It's embarrassing. I'm not vegan, but I don't eat meat or cheese. Does that make sense? I'm not strict about it, and I'm definitely not preaching to anyone. But my blood pressure is fine. And I have basically a low-fat vegan diet for my health. I'm still morbidly obese, but I'm healthy. And mildly depressed from having dry rice and dry pasta all the time. I made a cake and I put prunes instead of oil. And you know what? It wasn't too bad. But then if you think, wow, this is so good, I'm going to put extra prunes, it turns into a brick. It turns into like, not a brick, but like a sludgy lump. Think of like a badly cooked chocolate brownie. That's what cakes become like if you put too many prunes instead of oil. And that was probably the most vegan thing I've ever said in my entire life. But at least I'm not pretending that it's amazing. There are those vegans out there. Yeah, some fruitcake. Yeah, that's right, Metal Rabbit. Yeah, get lots of dried fruits and like go heavy on that. That is actually yum. That is actually yum. Yeah, I like fruitcake. So what I was going to talk about now, absolutely riveting stuff, is the second card, which is not card number 2, but it's card number 8 on my family bonding oracle deck that I've been creating. And I've been working on card number 8. So card number 1 I talked about a couple of weeks ago, which is riding a train, and how when we're talking about symbolism and things as symbols, that the concept of riding a train, or the act of riding a train, is in plural or correspondence to the process or the capacity or the act of coming up with a goal, visualizing the goal, work and setting about to achieve the goal, and most importantly, achieving the goal. And that is when you jump on a train and you're going somewhere. You know where you're going, and the train is certain to take you there, and you are on the train, and the wheels are literally in motion. And when the train stops at your stop, you know, and that's where the stop is, and off you get. And you have achieved your goal of going from point A to point B. And we go from point A to point B in our minds and in our actions when we have a plan